Now like to hand the conference over to Mr. S.R. Deo, Managing Director. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Good morning and very warm welcome to everyone present on the call. Along with me, I have Mr. P. Srinivasan, CFO of NOSIL, and SGA team, our investor relation advisors. I trust and pray that you and your families are safe, healthy, and secure. Hope you all have received our investor presentation by now. For those who have not, you can view them on the stock exchange and the company website. Coming to the business, first half of the financial year was a mixed period for NOSIL. In the first quarter of our business was impacted due to lockdown on account of COVID-19 pandemic. But from July onwards, that is from the second quarter, business environment improved and operating levels increased on month-on-month basis. Utilization levels have increased from July 20 and have crossed pre-COVID levels on monthly run rate basis. In Q2 FY21, the company achieved highest sales volume. Also, volumes for the coming quarter are looking positive. Operating levels at tire majors also started picking up. There is a medium-term positive commentary both from domestic and multinational tire companies. Revenue also saw substantial growth despite softer realization. Though volumes have started picking up, we expect pricing to improve in the coming quarters. As indicated in the earlier calls, pricing have bottomed out and it is getting confirmed as there was a recent price hike taken by the competitor in the marketplace for most of the products. As demand is showing encouraging sign, we are quite confident of ending FY21 on a flattish note in spite of COVID impact in Q1 FY20. Also, to continue our well laid out focused approach of garnering high volumes and reaching more geographies, we persisted on capacity expansion plan. Phase 2, rupees 140 crores have been capitalized, and phase 2B of rupees 140 crores mechanical completion will be done in Q3 FY21. Trial production to start from Q4 FY21. So we expect to capitalize it by March-April 2021. The delay was on account of non-availability of labor due to COVID situation. Absolute EBITDA improved compared to Q1 FY21 on the back of improvement in the absorption of fixed cost and on account of volume pickup. It may be noted to generate operating EBITDA margins at this rate even in this difficult market condition is commendable. This gives us a confidence that absolute EBITDA will improve once market conditions stabilize. On the industry scenario, we witnessed good growth in automobile sales in October and vehicle manufacturers ramped up production. Most OEMs were of the view that Q2 FY21 there was pent-up demand, and now from Q3 they are witnessing demand with onset of festival season and preference for personal mobility in the pandemic situation. Some OEMs believe and are confident that the demand will continue even after this festival season and have started ramping up the utilization level to meet this growing demand. Also, global sourcing strategy is changing with China Plus One strategy. As most of the players, both domestic and international, slowly reducing their dependency on China and finding ways to tap alternative supply chain as a part of strategy. India, being a smaller player in rubber chemical industry, will be beneficiary of diversification of supply chain by customers. NOSIL is expected to benefit in view of available capacities. In terms of future growth opportunities and wind of change in global sourcing strategies with China Plus coming in focus, there has been an increase in the number of inquiries from the global players and we are confident of converting these opportunities into concrete business. Looking at current operating environment, we expect a much better performance in the second half of FY21 as compared to first half of FY21. We continue to explore new opportunities with the customers and alternative raw material supplies in the domestic market under the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative of the government. The new capacity built up is coinciding with several tailwinds in our business, which will enable us to grow our revenues and profitability at a faster pace in the next several years. That's all from my side. Now I would like to hand over to Mr. P. Srinivasan to give you update on financial performance. Srini, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Dev. Hope all of you are doing quite well. Let me break through the financials of the company.
Sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt. May I please request you to speak closer to the phone, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dev, and good morning, everyone. Hope all of you are doing quite well and safe. Let me take through the financials of the company for Q2 FY21 and H1 FY21. The performance of H1 FY21 are not comparable with the same period compared to the last year in view of the performance of Q1, which was impacted by COVID-19. As Mr. Dev mentioned, the company reported the highest sales volume in the Q2. So the Q2 volumes grew by 15%, taking base of Q1 FY20. As compared to Q2 FY20, it also grew by 15%. On a month-to-month basis, our production has picked up, and we are further ramping over our capabilities and capacity utilization under strict safety and hygiene protocols. Net revenue from operations for Q2 stood at 222 crores as compared to 210 crores compared to the corresponding year quarter of the previous year, reflecting a growth of 5.7%. Revenue growth was impacted by lower realization, which we expect to pick up or get corrected in the coming quarters. For H1 FY21, revenue stood at 328 crores, largely impacted by the COVID lockdown during Q1. Insofar as value additions are concerned, value addition for Q2 FY21 is 107 crores. It is indicating 48.1% of sales as compared to 48.6% of Q1 FY21. We are still hopeful to maintain our long-term guidance of 50% as situation improves and return back to normalcy. Coming to operating EBITDA parameters, on the operating EBITDA for Q2 FY21, it stood at 31 crores as compared to 48 crores compared to the previous year, reflecting a degrowth of 35%. EBITDA margin, even in these depressed conditions, stood at 14.1%. For H1 FY21, the operating EBITDA stood at 39 crores. We are quite confident and hopeful to improve the absolute EBITDA in the coming quarters. On profit before tax, the PBT for Q2 FY21 stood at 23 crores as compared to 42 crores in the Q2 FY20, degrowth of 45%. For H1 FY21, it was 32 crores. On profit after tax matters, the profit after tax for Q2 FY21 stood at 17 crores. It is not comparable as there was an income tax credit in the previous year on account of the deferred tax, the concessional tax regime adopted by the company. For H1 FY21, the PAT stood at 28 crores. On the balance sheet front, we have about, Mr. Dev said, 140 crores the capital abilities to be capitalized by the end of this year or April 21. That's pending. The company has comfortable liquidity position as of 30th September 2020. We have continued to be debt-free, and we are able to take care of our funding requirements through our internal approvals. With this, I would like to open the floor for Q&A. Question and answer, please.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Before we start with the question answer session, I would like to remind participants, please limit your question to two per participant. You may come back in the question queue for a follow-up. We take the first question from the line of Nirav Dimodia from Anvil Research. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hope everyone at your end is safe and fine.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, sir. So I have two questions, sir. First is for Mr. Deo and the second is for you. So if Mr. Deo can help us explain, sir, this volume growth, what we have done for Q2. If you can just explain us that, is this volume growth is because of some new customers in new geographies or the existing customers taking more volumes at the new locations? Because what I understand is tire companies have plants spread across the world. So is this growth predominantly from the export market where the new customers have started taking some additional volumes at their other plants globally, or it's more because of the existing plants started taking more volumes because we have now all those capacities to offer them on the table? So if Mr. Deo can explain us.
As I explained in my speech, the tire industries, whether they are domestic or whether they are international, they are looking at alternate sources.
Correct.
And since they are looking at alternate sources, what they have done is they have transferred some of the volumes which were predominantly they are buying from China to NOSIL.
Okay.
Now this has happened both at domestic industry and also at international level, and that's where we see a volume growth.
Okay. But sir, have we also invested in terms of expanding our distribution network in the export market or else in the domestic market also, because importers also have a distribution base here in India? So how we score above all those parameters where we try to provide them something on the table like just-in-time supplies? Because I think pricing is one of the aspects, but what other parameters you would like to score in where you can provide some edge vis-a-vis the competitors?
See, as far as the domestic tire industry is concerned, we don't have any distribution network. We deal with our customers directly.
Okay.
As far as our delivery to customers are concerned, we assure our customers that we are going to be a JIT company. And I think of all these years, since we have been doing the business from last more than 30 years,
correct,
they know the strength of NOSIL in terms of delivering the product when they want.
Okay.
So, but this is not only restricted to domestic industry, even our international customers, when they give us a schedule, we ensure that every schedule is honored.
Okay.
And that's where I think obviously we have absolutely no problems in terms of delivering the product to customers nationally and internationally. Besides the product quality, besides the volume available with NOSIL, of course the pricing and the delivery, in all the four parameters, NOSIL is at least much better than many of the Chinese companies. And that's where the shift is happening, because most of the tire industries are looking at alternative source of raw material.
Okay. Sir, thanks a lot for the answer. So my second question is to Mr. Srinivasan. So sir, you mentioned in the presentation that fixed cost absorption have started reflecting in the numbers. So if you can just give us some perspective in terms of Q2 of last year and Q2 of this quarter of this year. So how has been the fixed cost looking like? So has there been any reduction in terms of absolute numbers, or whether it has grown from a base of last year, because I think we have seen a very healthy volume growth. So just wanted to understand your perspective on the fixed cost, like how it has been panning out.
Nirav, I can say only one thing on index parameters. I think we may have seen a positive impact of 5% on fixed cost parameters.
Okay. So let's say if the base was 100 last year, it can be 95, despite of such a high volume growth, what we have seen.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot for the answer. And sir, happy Diwali and prosperous New Year to all of you.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Happy Diwali. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Jain from Credence Wealth. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Sir, my first question, so with regards to the pricing, you mentioned about a recent price hike by competitor, and pardon me for my ignorance on this. And also with regards to our case, you have mentioned that pricing will gradually improve in the coming quarters. But if you could share some more details, I'm not asking for the exact price hikes or price reduction. Like, I found one very interesting slide in your presentation with regards to volume, where you have taken the base as 100 and then put the volumes right up to Q1, where we have shown the volumes to be at 115. So just wanted to understand if you can relate the same thing with the pricing, say last 3-4 quarters, in terms of, the index again. So if the price was 100, say 4 quarters back, how is it moved in last 3 quarters? And as we speak today, where could be the price?
Can I answer in a different manner?
Sure.
Q2 FY20 included a portion of anti-dumping duty for
Yes.
July 19.
Sure. I will exclude that. So maybe we can speak after that.
Okay. If I compare Q3, Q4, Q1 and Q2, see the pricing consists of 2 parameters, the composition of the volume mix. So the average undergoes a change because of the volume mix. Because if you have a high value product going in a higher share in a particular quarter, the weighted average will go up. Similarly, if a low value product goes up a higher share, then the weighted average value comes down. Now looking at all those parameters, I can say that from I would say January 20 or maybe December 19 onwards, the prices have remained flat. It has not gone down further. It has remained flat. What we are saying is we have started hearing from the marketplace, at least from certain quotes we are yet to confirm when we get into the say January-March deals, probably we'll understand how prices have increased. Yeah, we are hearing news that the prices have started showing signs of increase or improvement from the base level, and we have always been guiding the investors that all along the prices are coming to rock bottom, and that's the reason it remained flat for almost 9 months. Despite a degrowth, despite a COVID situation, the prices did not go down. That reflects how the competition is viewing the pricing parameters. So we believe we are seeing the price increases across all segments. It may be varying 5%, 3%, I don't know how it is, but we have to, when we get into the actual deal, we'll come to know the real effect. But we are hopeful that from January onwards, we should get some increase.
Sure. And sir, with regards to this guidance which you have given on the presentation, FY21 being flat, I presume on that presentation slide, both volumes and revenue would be flat as compared to the last year. Is that correct assumption?
No, I think we are talking about sales volume.
Achha, we are talking about sales volume, not the revenue in rupees.
Because revenue is not comparable. As I said, it includes the anti-dumping for 4 months, so that's not reflective.
Sure. And then lastly, just to carry forward what the previous participant asked, with regards to approval, we have been talking for probably last 3-4 quarters with regards to trying to get into new customers with whom probably we have never done business, or with existing customers for new regions, new geographies. And you alluded to that in your opening remarks also, that we are actively pursuing that. But in that journey, sir, where do we stand today? Do you feel that in next 3 months or 6 months, we are quite hopeful of tying up with, say, 1 or 2 large customers, which can help us to have a sharp increment in the volumes, maybe in the next year going forward?
See, basically, we are having a relationship with most of the big tire companies across the globe. We have a relationship. Now, the tire companies typically start a business and allocating the business to a particular region or a particular country. Now, what we have seen in the last 3 months or last 4 months, there have been inquiries from their side and the discussions are going on wherein they want to expand the servicing location for NOSIL. So other locations which were not hitherto taking any volumes from us, they are getting into the discussions and the trial and the samples and approvals and those processes have started. Typically, this takes real credentials comes in maybe 3 to 4 quarters, but we are definitely hopeful that some improvement is expected on the cards. But I cannot tell you the time horizon. I think that's little premature to talk about it.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. This is helpful. And wish you all the best and happy Diwali and happy New Year to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants again. Please limit your question to 2 per participants only. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So just again on the volume front, so we had this import of ban on passenger vehicle tires sometimes in the month of June. So has it also benefited us during the quarter? And for the current quarter, almost 40 days have gone by. So is there a month-on-month improvement also during the current quarter? Thank you.
I think yes. I think in the past, in the earlier calls, we did say that the import tire restrictions does play a role, and it has played a role here in the operating capabilities of domestic tire companies. And being a domestic supplier, we are also getting a benefit to improve our capacity utilization. That's one part. Coming to the current ongoing trend post September, I think we are still seeing this momentum being positive.
Thank you. So the second question is, we had indicated in last call that we have developed one new accelerator and we started initial sales and we saw improvement probably towards the end of Q1. So how has been the trend in Q2 and what do we expect in terms of incremental size of opportunity from this particular product?
I think on that product we are about 50-55% utilization.
Okay. And any opportunity size on this in terms of revenue?
I didn't get your question, please.
The opportunity size in terms of revenue. So how at 100% utilization, probably the opportunity size is 40 crores, 50.
That product is about 250 crores thereabout per annum in the domestic market. So our capacities, we are already utilizing 50-55%.
Sure. And sir, just last question on the financials. What would be the debt by FY21? Currently we are debt free, but after this 140 crores of CWIP at the end of FY21. Thank you.
Debt? There is no debt.
No, after the remaining CWIP at the end of the year, I'm asking.
So we are a debt-free company, so there is no debt today.
Sure. Thanks a lot and best of luck and Diwali wishes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Potti from Marshmallow Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. My first question is on the gross margins. Despite having the highest ever volumes in our history, we have seen a further compression in gross margins. Could you please elaborate on this further?
I think it's about 0.5% lower. So in absolute term, we are talking about maybe 80 lakhs or 90 lakhs thereabout. So we had some abnormal situation in certain raw materials, and probably that has impacted us. Other than that, nothing else.
Okay, so it's not, so there's no pricing pressure per se, it is more of the inventory-led issue that led to the compression, is it? And we are on track eventually to reach on a steady state margin, gross margin guidance of 50-odd% or more.
See, the point is we have to look at the current situation, how the market is playing out and how competition is playing out. So in this quarter, we have seen in a few products, there was some price, availability shortage or price hikes, etc. The combination, we have covered our inputs quite well. But maybe some shipment delays, so therefore we have to buy a local source or something like that, and probably that impacted our maybe 80-90 lakhs. That's all as compared to Q1. So otherwise, 48.6 we could have maintained it.
Okay, but the long-term intent is to be at 50 or little more. Would I be right in thinking that?
Today it's a depressing market conditions. I believe once the market situation normalizes, our guidance remains at 50% intact.
Understood. My second question is, so historically you have had a very close relationship with all your customers, and you are, I believe, more of a solution provider and partner with customers on product development, etc. So given the whole shift in the ecosystem that is happening, are there customers that are approaching you for other products other than what you're already manufacturing right now, in terms of China Plus One, etc.? And is there anything in the pipeline for the next couple of years or so?
I think Mr. Dev will answer this.
I think you have asked a very good question. Yes, the domestic and international customers are asking this question. As you are aware, at present we are busy in completing our projects which we had started, and we are likely to complete all the projects by March 2021. I would say we are only on the drawing board in terms of many of these questions, and if we succeed, we will share that information with you.
Understood. Sure. Last question or sort of a follow-up is, given the demand increase that we're seeing right now, is there any product that you intend to add more than whatever you have in terms of capacity currently? I mean, I know you're coming at the end of 465 crore capacity that you had planned 2-3 years back, but is there any particular product which is seeing more demand than you think, and are you planning to expand capacity in any particular product further?
As I said, I think our first objective is to complete the project. Look at the market, look at the demand, look at the sincerity of Atmanirbhar Bharat and China Plus. And once we collect all the data, we will think about it.
Perfect. Thank you for your answers, and happy Diwali to all the management.
Happy Diwali to you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants again. Please limit your question to 2 per participants only. The next question is from the line of Niranjan Shaparkar from Equitas Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I had one question. So how do you view this Markem capacities which are coming on stream, as in they are expected to come on stream, as a threat to NOCIL? Hello?
Thank you very much for giving me this information that their capacity is coming up.
Yes.
I think first and foremost thing, it needs to be watched. Second thing is, we don't see any threat as far as the business is concerned.
Okay. And the follow-up question on the previous participant that he asked, I wanted to know if your guidance in the slide, you say that the sales volume as well as the revenue will remain flat compared to FY20, right? Or only sales volume?
I mean, I didn't understand the question, please.
Your guidance on the presentation for FY21 volumes as well as revenue will be flat, right? Is that correct, or only sales volume?
We just answered to the previous investor. We are saying it is sales volume is expected to be flat for FY21. Though in the first quarter we have talked about a degrowth. Now we are talking about a flattish performance as far as FY21 is concerned. We never talked about revenues. Revenues was actually not comparable because of the anti-dumping effect in the first 4 months of the previous year.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanchaya Satpathy from Ampersand Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So my 2 questions. One is that what is your sustainable EBITDA margin that one can look forward to from your business?
I think we have been giving guidance all along that in a stable market condition and at a peak level capacity utilization, we are talking about a 25% EBITDA margin, and that's the guidance we have given. And I believe we still believe we are still in the same in the race to achieve that.
Understood. And so what will be your full capacity annually after you complete the ongoing CapEx?
Today, the total installed capacity, including intermediates, post commissioning of all projects, is 110,000 metric tons. And today we have completed about 85,000 tons.
No, so basically your quarterly volume this quarter was. Basically, what is the current utilization and when will you reach full utilization then?
Today we are on the available capacities. We are utilizing at 75%.
75%. Okay. And and your total available capacity will go up by how much from here after the last round of capex will be done in Q4?
I guess maybe you didn't follow it. We have today set up 85,000 tons production capacities, including intermediate, as of now. We expect to reach it to 110,000 by the end of this year. And currently we are utilizing 75% of the available capacity.
Understood. And only after you reach somewhere near your full capacity that your EBITDA margin will move towards 25%.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Datta from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, I just wanted to know, if I have to compare last year, the capacity, when you say it has grown 15% volume, what was the capacity last year when you say 85,000 tons currently?
Last year, I think at this time it was about 70,000 tons.
And what was the utilization at that time?
Maybe I would say it was 70%.
So both 70,000 as well as 70% utilization.
Yeah. Maybe 70 or 70.
And sir, have you seen any? What is the outlook on the capex for the tire players? Any new players have committed capex, or has there been any deferment in the capex for the tire players?
You will answer that.
I think the two new announcements which we see, these are basically in the what is called as off-the-road tires, OTR. Okay. One plant is coming. I think it's completed and it is being inaugurated in the state of Gujarat. Okay. And one plant is being planned. But as far as the standard tire industries are concerned, whatever capex they had announced earlier, they continue to say that they will go ahead with the capex, and many of the companies like Apollo Tyres have commissioned their plant in Andhra Pradesh. There are no new capex which has been announced in last 6 months.
Okay. And secondly, when you say that Nosil has benefited from some of the demand which has been diverted by international and domestic tire players, what was it led by? Was it because of the cost or efficiency, whatever? Can you just explain that part?
See, basically, few things. First and foremost thing, I think the Prime Minister of the country laid down an objective for all the industries to be Atmanirbhar. And I think this has been taken quite seriously by the industries, and industries have started looking more inwards as domestic source rather than importing from China. And if you look at rubber chemicals, more than 90% of the imports are from China. That was one change. Second thing is the tire industries were also given an upper hand by putting tire under restricted list. So, and the expectation was that they will also promote the domestic industry. And I think these are all the reasons which has come together where they are looking at domestic supplies as their priority.
Okay. And sir, lastly, when with new capacities available by post the trial runs by Q1 of next financial year, where do you see this 85% utilization, 75% utilization going up to by the end of this financial year?
See, basically we are ramping up. I think what we have been our guidance is that in the last call we said we expect to ramp up over 4 years. We still maintain that we can achieve that little earlier.
Okay. No, sir, I just wanted to know, like 85,000 ton available capacity, right now we are utilizing it at 75%. Where do we see it at ending at?
I think the way things are looking at, we will be, if I may answer a little differently, I think currently we are what? 80% we can say.
Okay, from 75 it will go up to 80%
Sir,
by the end of
I'm
this
so
financial.
sorry to interrupt. May I please request you to rejoin the question queue for your follow-up,
Surely,
as
sure.
we have
Thank
people waiting for the... Thank you. A reminder to the participants again to please limit your question to 2 per participant only. The next question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Lucky Investment.
Hello, good morning, sir. My question was on the volume front. Can you break up the volumes of 15% into how much domestic was and export was in the quarter?
Largely domestic. Exports, not much significant.
So basically,
One minute, let me complete. As compared to the corresponding quarter of the previous year, if I look at pre-COVID levels, I think we have grown by 10% plus in domestic and remaining about 5% or thereabout degrowth in exports, minus 4%, so net 6%.
okay. Also, sir, in your earlier guidance, you've spoken about domestic and export mix at 65-35. So do we stand by that? And what was the mix in the current quarter?
Current quarter domestic export mix, I think it's 70-30. Domestic is 70-30 exports in value terms.
Right. So coming to cash flow, our business has a very unique property of throwing great cash, and the fact that we don't have enough capex plans going ahead. What is the plan for utilizing that 130-150 crore cash that we generate?
I think we are working on that. Today we don't have any plans to announce it. It's coincidentally or parallelly some work is going on in evaluation of other avenues. So as and when a suitable investment decision comes in, we will definitely let you know.
So based on pecking order, capex is first and then rewarding shareholders is second.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Understood. Thank you and Diwali wishes, sir.
Thank you and same to you, please.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prateek Podar from Nippon India. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. 2 questions. Sir, one is, could you just highlight the capacity utilization rates? You said 75 would be average for the quarter. I'm assuming the exit rate would be quite high, given the commentary which we are seeing from tire manufacturers, especially where they have said that October is even better than September. Just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, I think it is every month the utilization levels are going up. So it's not that when we are giving a guidance that the next quarters or the coming quarters we are likely to be touching 80, we are talking about 75% utilization for the quarter under review. So it is not that every month it was 75, it may be 72, 73, then 75, 76, something like that. It's a weighted average rate. And we still feel that by the end of this year we should be touching 80%.
And so your gross margin, which is compressed by, say, 200 basis points from a normalized level of 50%, is that because the tire manufacturers are not giving you cost increases and eventually you will pass that on because your raw material prices have gone up?
I just repeat the words a little louder, please. I'm not able to hear you.
No, I'm saying your gross margins, ideally normalized levels are 50%, right? Some Q4 FY20 levels if I see, whereas this quarter they were at 48. So this 200 basis point reduction, is it because the tire manufacturers or the OEMs are not giving you price increases?
No, it's not that. I think you have to look at this. This is not a normal situation. When we are talking about 50%, it's a normal situation. This is the depressed market conditions. Number one. Number two, you had a degrowth year in rubber consumption in the last 1.5 years or thereabout. So when we are getting into a situation of degrowth, temporary excess of supply over demand, you are bound to have competitive pressures, and unless the competition starts taking corrections, and being the lead player being China, you cannot expect the price increases straight away. Having said that, I think we already addressed that issue in the speech of Mr. Dev, that the indications from the marketplace is that the Chinese competitions have started showing signs of price increases. So you can expect that over a period of time these corrections will happen.
Got it. And lastly, so yuan has appreciated. That will also help your pricing, right? In the global markets, yuan as a currency has appreciated versus the dollar.
Yeah, I think.
So that is.
Yes, I think what you are saying is correct, because normally from a level of 7 RMB, it has come to 6.72, 6.73, and this appreciation would obviously affect the Chinese supplier, and they would increase the prices to keep their RMB levels same. So that possibility cannot be ruled out.
And have you gained market share, sir?
I'm so sorry to interrupt. May I please request you to rejoin the question queue for your follow-up? Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shivam Saraya from JHP Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. A couple of questions. So one is on the raw material side, sir. If you could give some color on how the raw material prices have been in the last couple of quarters, and how do you see them moving ahead?
There have been recent challenges on supply chain front on some of the key inputs, which is generally not following the equation in relation to crude, benzene, etc. Basically due to some planned stoppage at the suppliers and the global suppliers end, which obviously has resulted in abnormally high cost of raw materials in the current levels when you look at spot prices today. But thankfully, as far as Mosul is concerned, due to judicious covering of our raw materials earlier, and with sufficient inventory, we believe the impact for Q3 FY21 will not be that significant.
Okay. And sir, if you just said that there is an excess of supply over demand. That is what is the situation that we had seen in the last year. But if I go back to my notes of the Q1 call, you also said that additional capacities are coming in from China Sunshine and China Chemie. So sir, how do you see this excess supply situation correcting in the near term, or this is going to be a long drawn medium term process?
Typically what happens in a depressed market situation, basically there are two things happening out of China. One is the small players or the so-called medium-sized entities are virtually getting out of this business because of the chemical pollution control laws or stringent laws. You answered our question that if you are saying the market is not buoyant, it is depressing, then you cannot expect the number one player, leading player in the world to invest in capacities. It's a very clear message from his side that he is expecting capacity increase or demand picking up in this once normalcy gets restored. If you also may I also request you to look at the China Sunshine press releases time and again. There have been statements that some players the Chinese players are not able to operate fully. And that's the reason why you are able to see some corrections already happening. So we don't know what is the internal story inside China, but we do believe that there are some challenges faced by certain manufacturers in Chinese market. Hope if those things turn out to be true, definitely we are in for a better improvement times. So that supply demand will be rationalized.
Okay, so and my last question is on the, if I just do a back of the envelope calculation, then the H2 of this year is expected to be like a 40% volume growth compared to H1. So sir, if you could just give some commentary or some color on how this additional growth is coming from the domestic market itself, or your inquiries that you've been talking about for some time in the export markets are also now turning into business?
I think we do expect some export volumes to pick up. We face some supply constraints due to the COVID situations on certain some of the products during the Q1 and Q2, which has already been rationalized and which has been rectified. So corrective measures have taken place, and we believe those things also will pick up. We are also going to supply additional volumes in the international market in the coming quarters. So it's a mix of the growth story is not only domestic, it's a mix of domestic as well as exports.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. And happy Diwali wish.
Thank you, and
Good.
thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mitesh Shah from OHM Group. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Any update on the anti-dumping duty?
So far, nothing. Still subjudice.
Okay. So any timeline expected over next 3 to 6 months or?
The deadline is May 21. Definitely before that we'll get some decision.
Great. No problem. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pavan Kumar from Ratnatraya Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Congratulations on strong volumes. When I look at your numbers, I understand that realizations even this quarter have dropped by around 2 to 3% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So I understand your commentary is that they are going to increase, but what is the kind of price increases that we are seeing from our competitor in the market as of now? And my second question would be on the working capital. Actually, your debtor days seem to have increased a bit. So is it going to normalize, or how should we look at it?
I think we explained on the pricing parameters. It's a weighted average component of the product mix, so it's not comparable. What we have given guidance in the last 3 or 3.5 quarters, the prices have remained flat. That's the point number one. Point number two, we are seeing the competitions have started offering a higher pricing on all the rubber chemicals. The variations in product wise may change from time to time and customer to customer. So when we get into Q4 negotiations, probably we will realize how much we are going to get it. As far as this is the two questions. What is the next question you have?
Working capital, sir. Working capital both in my inventory and.
I think working capital is a reflection of the level of activity. So once the level of activity improves, obviously the working capital commensurate with that increases.
Okay, so there is nothing abnormal in the.
Absolutely, there's nothing abnormal to worry about. In fact, our just to reiterate, our collection record from the customers have been very exemplary, very highest level. I believe in the last 15 years or 16 years where I am with this company now, in this business, I think I have seen a cumulative write-off of not more than 40 lakhs on a turnover of 7,500 crores.
Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Seth from Quest Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. Sir, you say that this at peak utilization, our EBITDA margin that is around would be somewhere around 25%. So peak utilization, when do we expect that peak utilization of this expanded capacity of 110,000 ton? What time frame approximately?
We answered just a few minutes before. We had earlier mentioned 4 years. Now we are trying to complete the story or the ramp-up utilization much earlier than that. Maybe somewhere between 3 and 4 years, somewhere during that time we will complete it.
So, sir, what I believe that domestic tire industry is expected to grow around, say, 7%. So what will drive really our volume growth? One, there could be a possibility that import may come down, export may increase. So what kind of scenario are we really anticipating to achieve that kind of a utilization?
It's a mix. It's a hybrid. On both fronts, domestic as well as export, we have planned to grow, and we believe we are on the right direction. We have the way customers are responding to our discussions are going on with our customers, domestic as well as international. We believe we are in the right direction, so it should happen.
So do we anticipate, volume growth in upward of 15% on every year to achieve that kind of utilization?
That's I think we are looking at the final goal. We are not getting into a specific number of 14% or 15%. It's a mixture of, you have to work backwards to achieve that percentage growth, CAGR growth. What we are looking at in 3.5 years thereabout, we would like to grow to the full capacity. That's what our objective.
So working back, sir, it is coming approximately 15%.
Request you to rejoin the question queue for your follow-up.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naveen Shah from ValueQuest. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. So my first question is on this pricing. So as we had alluded this in the previous con call, that as compared to the pricing in FY18, we are currently 15% lower, and Chinese players have gone down by 25% lower. So is that the current pricing as well, the trend that continues in this quarter?
That's the price. I think we have been all along making 3 clarifications on pricing. We say the prices have bottomed out. We say the prices have been unrealistically low. It cannot sustain for these levels so long. It has remained for almost 9 months, and now in the last 10 days thereabout, we have started seeing signs of price improvement happening in the marketplace. I think at certain customers, at certain competitors' end. So we believe the corrections are bound to happen, and I think it's a matter of time. One has to be patient to get those realization improvement.
Okay. So, sir, and how long will it take for you to have a dialogue with your customers, or has that already started in terms of increasing the prices? And once that dialogue has started, how long will it take for actual price increase to reflect in your numbers?
It's a negotiation depending on the marketing team's negotiation with the customer. I don't think so we can have any specific time or agenda set up for that. I think we leave it to every customer is different, and you need to understand their sensitivities. So the marketing team will take note of it, and the customer is also equally aware of what's happening in the competitors' end.
Okay, got it. Sir, and just last question is on this. So in our annual report as well, we had spoken about getting into new adjacent chemicals or adjacent kind of business segments. So like you already earlier spoke about it to a previous question, but has there any breakthrough that has happened or any advancement in that area that we would like to talk about, or is it still very, very far away?
Mr. Dev will answer that.
I think, as you know, in a business, the work continues to happen, but at this point of time, we have nothing to share with you.
Okay, so if at all anything happens, it will be like 2-3 years from now at least. That would be the time frame.
I also cannot put a time frame, but of course, anything which is new and which needs a commercial development, it takes a time of 2-3 years. I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and festive wishes to the entire team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Khetan from East India Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. So my first question is on the US market. So how is the US market shaping up in terms of demand post lifting of lockdown? Also, can you share the H1 volumes in the US market?
I think we have been all along giving guidance for the Americas. We started with an objective of 1,000 tons. We started with 500 tons. We went to 1,000. Now we have come to 1,500. Our 1,500 is annual volume of 1,500 tons is what we are operating today.
Okay, and sir, how is the demand in the US market shaping up?
I think because of COVID, none of us, it's little improper to judge a market during this year. Last year it was a positive growth. This year, because of COVID, I think most markets have degrown. I think every market has degrown. So it's not a comparable situation. Maybe as we go along, maybe after 2 quarters, we'll get a better position.
Okay, and sir, one question on the competitor Merchem. So they are installing a 30,000 ton per annum capacity. I mean, that is not a small capacity. The total demand in India is around 75,000 tons. So it is around, you can say, 25 to 30% of the overall demand. So how you see this capacity coming in, and do you see any threat like losing market share or anything going ahead?
I think Mr. Dev has already answered the question to the previous investor.
Okay, sir. And just one question, if I can squeeze in. Sir, in the last 2 to 3 months, there has been a growing shortage of containers in India for sending export consignment, and that has led to rise in export freight prices also. So, sir, just my question, are we able to send our consignment abroad, or are the consignments stuck at the ports right now?
We have not defaulted any delivery commitments so far.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amish Kanani from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Sir, last year this time, we had said that, we would, given the capacity increase that we had, we would prefer, we would prefer the volume over. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would prefer the volume over, say, the price increase that we would have taken. So given that we have now reached current utilization of 75 and, very likely to be 80% in the second half, can we say that we have reached that stage where we will now at least take all the price increase that our competitors are taking from now on? Or that given the, step-up capacity that is still pending to 110, we would still pursue volume over price?
I think this is a hypothetical question in the sense that when we are getting into negotiation, we are not getting into your objective and their objective. We are looking at what is the competitive offer in the market, and this is a competitive-driven market. So long as you are offering a competitive price, why would a customer not give you volume? It's a simple economic decisions or commercial decisions. So let's not, the strategy maybe positioning whether you want to be L1, L2, L3, L4, that is up to us, depending on the customer and the volumes and the product mix. So that's the judgment which we will take. But as far as when you want to capture an aggressive market share, you have to be competitive. There cannot be any deviation from that. And and it is not applicable to rubber chemicals, it is applicable to any business.
Okay. And sir, how is the pipeline of inquiry in general, say this year, this time, versus say last year this time, on the export side?
I think inquiries have been quite encouraging. Inquiries have been quite encouraging. Discussions are quite encouraging. So we are looking at the brighter side in terms of inquiries in that sense.
Okay. Sir, is it possible to quantify, say value or quantum term, how much was, say, last year this time versus what percentage up it is this time?
No, I think that's little sensitive. We would not like to dive into that.
Okay. Thanks so much, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Upadhyay from Simple. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Just two small questions. Most have been answered. Sir, on the pricing front, I think you did explain that the Chinese player has mentioned in the commentary that most of the units are either not producing at peak level or have closed down. But also in your commentary, you said that the RM, there were some issues and the prices had risen significantly. My only question is that based on what you are hearing on terms of the pricing, is the pricing over and above the RM price increase, or it's just compensating the RM price increase?
At this stage, I think the corrections are happening commensurate with the RM price increase, as we are seeing inquiries. But when we get into actual negotiation, we'll really know that.
Okay. Because then the demand supply difference basically increase means a better economics for the same product for us versus a RM price increase. We are just meeting the same gross profit per ton. So that was the reason to understand.
Yeah.
And secondly, sir, like you mentioned that the 15% volume growth was driven by because we got volumes from players who were earlier getting products from China, and that volume has shifted, which means these were existing customers. And in previous calls, we had mentioned that we had received demand from international players to increase the geographies where we were servicing. But parallelly, because if we have to add any new client, it takes like almost 6 months to 1 year for the product approval, stabilization, and everything. If you can help me understand how is the new client acquisition happening for us? So, because as of now, it's more of a brownfield volume growth which we have seen, and it's not a new player-led volume growth which we have seen.
We actually want to clarify one thing. These are all relationships where we have accounts where we have a relationship for years together or decades together. The only issue was we were supplying maybe product A or product ABC with a specific location or a group of locations. Now, what we are doing is we are enhancing the scope of the products as well as enhancing the servicing locations. So this is the process which is taking time, and again for each location they will go through the evaluation process in their own independent manner to come to a conclusion. So it is not new customer as such. These are all existing tire companies. So there cannot be any. If it is a new customer, we understand, but this is not a business where we are getting into a new account relationship as such. World over, we may be servicing them in location A. Maybe now we are expanding to location B, location C, thereabout.
Okay. But in terms of new customer addition, it would take much longer than 1 or 2 years, or what would be the timeline difference between?
There are not many customers who are significantly whom we have not tapped so far. Every account we have a relationship.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhilasha Satale from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. Sir, I just wanted to understand that in this 110,000 tons of capacity, what we will be reaching by the end of this year, how much will be intermediate capacity and how much will be end product capacity? And at peak utilization, say over next 3.5 years, what kind of utilization we can make? Means what will be our peak utilization? Will it be 90, 95, 100? So
I think in the split up of total production capacity, maybe 2/3, 1/3 is the ratio of finished to intermediates. I think this part has been answered in the past questions as well, or past investor interactions as well. As far as the peak utilization is concerned, we always aim for 100% utilization.
So in that 2/3 ratio, we will be reaching 100% utilization when over next.
Entire production will be aimed for 100%, in which 2/3 will be finished products and 1/3 will be intermediates.
Okay. Okay, sure. And what will be the export input? Like now, this quarter has been export. This sales have been lower. So as we progress further, how would that ratio change when we will reach peak utilization?
I think exports, we have already been given guidance that in our overall plan scheme of things, we are aiming for a 60% revenue from domestic and 40% revenue from exports. If there is a scope for improvement in domestic, we will not hesitate in improving that, because the value addition percentage on a comparable basis is slightly better in domestic because of the duty component.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag Kejriwal, individual investor. Before that, I would like to remind participants, due to time constraint, we take that as a last question for today. Over to you, Mr. Kejriwal.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Yeah. Sir, what is the price difference between the Chinese foam and Nocel?
We have to be matching Chinese prices. So these margins which we have recorded is based on the matching comparable Chinese prices.
So if they are selling at 100, you are selling at 100 approximately.
We have no other option. It's a competitive world. You have to sell at 100.
Okay. And what is your domestic share, percentage market share, and international market share today and 3 years before?
In the revenue mix component, I think in the quarter we are 70% revenue and 30% domestic and 30% in export.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking, let's say your domestic market share is 40% today, and previously it was 35 or whatever, 45, whatever it was. So your domestic percentage market share?
Domestic market share for quarter 2 has improved as compared to quarter 1.
Tell me about 3 years back or 2 years back. What was it? Both domestic as well as international.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't follow properly. I'm sorry for that.
What is your domestic market share today, and what was it 3 years back? What is your international market share today, and what was it 3 years back?
Okay, I stand corrected. I think the domestic market share, typically we were looking at 40%. This quarter we are exceeding that 40%. Slightly improvement is there of maybe 7 to 10% improvement is there. International market share, overall global scheme of things, we are about 5% of the world market, or maybe 6% because of the lower demand. Maybe we will be 6% of the world market.
Okay, and what was it 3 years back?
Maybe 3 years we were 3.5%.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management for their closing comments.
Thank you very much. I take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining the call. I hope we have been able to address all your queries. For any further information, kindly get in touch with our CFO or strategic growth advisors, our investment relations advisor. Request all of you to be safe under the given circumstances. Do take care of near and dear ones. And on behalf of NOSIL and SGA team, I wish all of you a very happy Diwali and prosperous New Year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of NOSIL Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect your lines.